First time it's ever been in America.
Good evening. There we go. Good evening, and welcome to the May 8th Board of Zoning Appeals for North Myrtle Beach meeting. I'd like to go ahead and call the meeting to order. And Ms. Smith, if we can get a roll call, please.
Chairman McGonigal,
Here.
Andy Thomas,
Here.
Mendel Bell,
Here.
Joe Reeves,
Here.
Cynthia Lover, Wyman Wise. Chairman, you have a quorum.
Great, thank you. Okay, we'll move to communication. We're going to move to communication. Is there anything from the city, Mr. Colwell?
Not from the city, but you have a request to be reheard based upon new evidence.
Okay. Good deal. Okay. We'll throw that at the top of the agenda after we get everybody sworn in. Okay, Ms. Smith, if we can go ahead and get everybody to rise, please rise and get sworn in if you plan on speaking today.
Do you solemnly state under penalty of perjury that the evidence you shall give in this matter shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
You may have a seat.
Great, thank you. Okay, well, Mr. Colwell, if you could give us a little breakdown on the one that wants to be reheard.
Is the applicant here for that rehearing? I think she could probably,
Good to give us a
do that.
rundown? Great.
I don't
Thank
really
you.
have anything.
Okay. Hello, if you would just introduce yourself.
I'm sorry?
If you'll introduce yourself for the record.
Okay, I'm Shannon Jordan, owner of 313 42nd Avenue North. I had previously applied for a variance to put a swimming pool on our property. And swimming pools are accessory uses. At the last meeting, it was stated that I could live without a pool, and I agree. I can live without a pool, and everybody can live without a pool. And I think that's why accessory uses are allowed in the ordinance for pools, fences, sheds, etc. The ordinance provides guidelines for these uses, and the guidelines are typically for your typical lot in North Myrtle Beach is a rectangular lot. You have a front, you have a back, and you have two sides. My particular lot is not typical. It's more of a triangular shaped lot. The front of the lot's pretty defined, and I've got one side. But the back, I'll call it the back property line. The third property line, there's it's hard to distinguish where it goes from the back to the other side. So in this case, there's a hardship for me to follow the ordinance as it's written for typical lots because of the shape of the lot that I have. I didn't create the lot. I did purchase it, and there's really nowhere else I can put the pool besides where I proposed it.
You were here last?
I was here last time.
Okay.
So I'm asking the board to consider rehearing the case.
So, Mr. Chairman, I had an opportunity to read through the information she sent over. I agree with her. She has a smaller size lot. She has a regular shaped lot. So I would suggest and make a motion that we rehear her case.
Good deal. Mr. Caldwell, we got a motion for it. Do we hear it now, or do we?
No, you would be
Have to-
voting to rehear it at your next scheduled meeting.
That's okay. That's what I thought. Great. We got a motion. Do we have a second?
I second.
Got a second from Mr. Reeves. Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye. Great. Thank you. We'll see you next meeting.
Thank you.
Ben?
Okay, let's move on to the new business.
Minutes. Can we do the minutes as well? You went over why you can't, but can you just
Yeah, do you
go
want to
through that
run through
exercise?
Sure can. We've got the, where's those minutes?
I'd like to make a motion, we postpone voting on the minutes until next meeting.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Thomas.
I'll second that.
Got a second from Mr. Reeves. Any discussion?
Just want to state the reason that we're making the motion on record is because Joe and myself were absent, so we don't have the ability to vote on these minutes.
And I was as well. So good. Great. Thank you, Mr. Bell. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Great. Thank you. Okay, we'll move on to the new business. We've got item number 1. We've got BZA 25-12. We have an application by Travis Collins for reduction of the front yard setback at 508 10th Avenue South, Zone Single Family, Low Density Residential in the R1 District. And if you could just introduce yourself?
Travis Collins. Good to see y'all. And I got photos, I'm going to print them out. Can I use this for photos, or do you want me to pass them around?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll just go over the proposed first. So, thanks for your time tonight. What we're asking for is a 5-foot variance from the front, like you stated. So a 20-foot setback instead of a 25. What we're trying to do is add on to our home a single-car garage that faces the right side, the beach side of the lot, along with the golf cart garage. Variance is needed because we have a sand dune in the back left quarter that impedes a good portion of the lot. So if we push the project back, a lot of that, sand dune removal would have to take place. A little bit of history of the lot. The lot was, we purchased in 2018, but right before that, the lot was a single lot that was adjoined with the adjacent lot that's on the hillside, so to the left, if you're looking at it. It was purchased by a builder. He got a variance to, I guess, make it 2 parcels. So as of now, our carport sits 2 feet from the lot line, and then the R1 lot was undersized, and he spec built a house beside it. But basically, we're just asking to add on to our house in a logical manner, since we have a hardship with the sand dune up top.
Okay.
Yep.
Good. Mr. Collins, I do want to do a little something on housekeeping here. We're normally a body of 7, so you have to get a majority, would have been 4 out of, the 7. Where now, we've only have 4 people, so you'd have to get a super majority with the fact that where we're at. So if you do wish to postpone for better favorable odds,
Yeah.
which...
Well, we'll continue. This is
Okay,
my second,
good deal.
yeah.
Good deal. And that's for anybody
I
else in
appreciate
the audience, if you do want to postpone, we understand, we'll just let us know and we'll postpone it, so we have a full board, so. Great, thank you. Anything else, Mr. Collins?
If you want to look at these photos, kind of my drawings.
Is it on?
I can pass it around.
That's perhaps, yeah.
So I think y'all have this in your packet, but basically what I added is the highlighted line, so that's basically where the sand dune comes up to. Really dark. I got photos after that to see elevation, but the back corner is probably a good 15 feet above the rest of the lot, and it kind of gradually goes down. But that's the front, standing on the sand dune, kind of looking down. So if we did push the project back, we'd have to take out a good majority of that.
Good deal. Good. All right, well, thank you, and does anybody have any questions before we hear from the city?
Not at the moment.
Yep, give us a second, we're going to hear from the city, and we'll be back to you.
Okay.
Great, thank you.
Application by Travis Collins for a request to reduce the minimum front yard setback from 25 foot to 20 for a proposed addition at 508 10th Avenue South, zone single-family, low-density residential R1 district. The applicant would like to have an attached garage with bonus room constructed on the left side of the home that would encroach slightly into the required front setback. The lot is non-conforming due to the lot width. Newly created lots in the R1 district are required to be 80 foot wide, while this lot is 75.1 foot wide. Staff recommends that the board review the variance application, hear the evidence presented at the meeting, and review section 2318.
Mr. Caldwell, thank you, Mr. Caldwell. Is there anything else on that? Because I went by that lot, it's an R1. What's the square footage? Is that also non-conforming?
It's conforming to square footage, but like the applicant said, there's some topographical challenges on the lot.
On the backside, right? Yeah, that's,
How did it get split up to begin with if it's required to be 80
I think it
80
was,
foot wide?
I think it was existing two lots of record, and one may have been smaller, or the lot may have been closer to the house that was probably built non-conforming when it was originally constructed. So you can split lots that are already two lots. You wouldn't be able to create a new lot that's less than 10,000.
Okay, I got you.
all right. Any questions for the city? I went down there and took a look at that house, and we've got room to do an addition on the front, but you saw that, the topography on the back. We're looking for them to take a dune down, and I'm not quite sure how they would do that, so. I think they do have an issue with the topography
Yeah, I mean, it's a non-conforming.
and
lot.
non-conforming lot. I think you got multiple. Mr. Caldwell, you got any thoughts on this? We went by and you could see the lot.
Yeah.
There's room in the front where it would make sense where you're going to add on.
There isn't room to go back without taking out that large dune. And as you remember, the Ingram Dunes project, the city and private citizens were able to save that whole area because of the historic dunes.
I think that was my thoughts as well, is thinking, hey, you want to be able to utilize the lot, right?
Yeah, I got you.
Anybody prepared to make a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion. I move that the board grant variance BZA 25-12 because the applicant has demonstrated unnecessary hardship. Specifically, there are extraordinary and exceptional conditions pertaining to this particular piece of property, which is a non-conforming lot and does have topography issues. These conditions, they do generally apply to other properties in the vicinity. Because of these conditions, application of the ordinance to the particular piece of property would effectively prohibit or restrict the utilization of the property. The authorization of the variance would not be substantial detriment to adjacent properties or to the public good, and the character of the district would not be harmed by granting of the variance. And we're just going to permit the 5-foot variance as requested by the applicant.
Great, thank you, Mr. Bell. Do we have a second?
Second.
Got a second from Mr. Thomas. Any discussion? All in favor? Great. Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, item number 2 on the agenda, we've got BZA 25-14, an application by Chad Hatley for a swimming pool in the side yard at 107 Cashmere Lane, zone single-family, low-density residential in the R1 district. If you'll introduce yourself.
Yes, I'm Chad Hatley, and here on behalf of the applicant. If I may approach, I got a couple things I'd like to hand to each of y'all. If I
Okay.
may. Some of this may be duplicate. Okay, as noted in the application, this is for utilizing the side yard for a pool, which would require a variance. The basis of this variance is, as you can see on the property lines, the map here, that the house on each 2 of the sides, including the rear, where we typically would try to put the pool, you have a 12-foot pond maintenance easement. And on the side, you have also a 20-foot drainage maintenance easement on the other side, forbidden essentially from using either side of those. Of course, can't put it in the front yard. I've also attached the 3rd page. This is a photograph of the backyard where you can see the drainage pond that services the homes in that area. Just so also know, this is not in a HOA, so but they still do have a common area water pond that they utilize for the runoff there. The fourth page is the side yard. This is actually where the pool decided it would be in. This is looking from the front towards the back. You can also see that there is not a structure adjacent to that. There's a private road that you can see where the white section is there, but there is no other structure. So it's not going to impede on anybody or create any invasion of privacy for any neighbor or anything like that as well. The remainder of them, this is just samples of other houses in R1 area with side yards, with side pools in the side yard. This is the three that I attached. They're all, two of them on one road and the other one's 200 yards from these two. That's just one area. There's many examples throughout the city where there's a pool in the side yard. Also attached on the back, there's a letter there that from his physician that his intention to use this as a therapeutic pool as well for his health benefit. Now, we realize that his health is not a hardship to be considered, but, we talk about the issue of necessity and what have you, and actually this instance, it would be a great benefit to the applicant as well. So we would just request for the approval of it based on the uniqueness of the property, the hardships created by the easements surrounding the property, and that we feel like this is the minimum impact that we can utilize for this purpose. We'd ask for the board's approval.
Any questions for Mr. Hatley?
Do you know the square footage of the lot?
Let's see here. I don't. I could
That's okay. That's all right.
find it real quick for you if you
I
want.
think it's a little bit smaller lot than
It is a
right?
smaller
Yeah.
lot. It is, it's not a standard lot.
Gotcha. Any other questions?
It's
Right.
7,840 square feet. Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Great. All right. Any other questions?
Chad, I guess this is the fence you guys, is this the fence you guys are going to put in back here? or-
That's.
I was reading something while you're,
That's another pool.
It's just an example.
Another side yard pool example. And again, it'd be a similar type thing, but the diagram on the second page shows you exactly what intends to build there. Of course, it'll have to meet all of the requirements regarding fencing and all the other standard things.
Okay. Any other questions? Thanks. Give us a minute. We're going to hear from the city.
Application by Chad Hatley for a swimming pool in the side yard at 107 Cashmere Lane, zone single-family, low-density residential, R1 district. Section 23107 only permits swimming pools to be placed behind the majority of the house. The applicant would like the pool to be installed in the side yard between the home and the side property line. Staff recommends that the board review the variance application, attach photos, hear the evidence presented at the meeting, and review section 23107.
Thank you, Mr. Caldwell.
You're welcome.
Any questions for the city?
You said this was an undersized lot. What is the normal size?
10,000 square foot and 80 foot of lot width, today's standards for new lot creation in R1.
So he kind of has two things going against him, right? Lot size and then also easement issues
And
on the property. Yeah.
Yep. The big thing is, I think, we don't want to know there's a pool there. I think that's where that, the fact that we've got the conditions of the, you got 7,800 square feet versus 10,000. So if we've got a fence, if we're going to look at those conditions at the pond, the easements and all that, we need a solid fence, 5 foot tall, in my opinion. So.
I agree.
And there's no issue. Kind of like the sample ones that I attached, those pictures, that's the anticipated type of fencing to go with that.
Okay.
I don't know the exact height of those, and what's the fence height typically has to be?
48 inches is the minimum height for pool fences.
Yeah. We would, I don't think there'd be an issue with it. I don't have the intention of putting a 5 or 6 foot fence, but if we could at least make a minimum of 48 inches for a solid fence, would forbid any visibility of it, if that would be satisfactory.
Okay. Mr. Caldwell, any thoughts on that with the size of the lot, the R1 district, 7,800 versus 10,000, you know,
I
and the
think-
backyard with the pond, so it makes a challenge, but is there anything that we, you know, if we're making an exception, do that these reasons, which would justify? Any thoughts on the fence, so we minimize?
I think that was a good idea to maybe have a little bit higher than minimum, so you can't see into it, maybe at least 6 foot high.
Okay.
With the easements in place, it is limited, as you said already.
Okay. All right, any other questions for the city? Any questions for the applicant? Is somebody prepared to make a motion?
I'll make a motion. I move that the board grant variance, BZA 25-14, because the applicant has demonstrated an unnecessary hardship, or extraordinary and exceptional conditions pertaining to this particular piece of property, one being the multiple hardships of the 2 easements on the property and the lot being undersized. These conditions do not generally apply to the other properties in the vicinity. Because of these conditions, the application of the ordinance to the particular piece of property would effectively prohibit or unreasonably restrict the utilization of the property. The authorization of the variance would not be of substantial detriment to the adjacent properties or to the public good, and the character of the district would not be harmed by the granting of the variance. We would also add that the fencing be at least 6 feet, solid fencing. Any other conditions you guys want to add to that? Okay, that's the variance.
Thank you, Mr. Reeves. Do we have a second?
Second.
And a second from Ms. Thomas. Before we go forward, I want to make sure, is there anyone in the audience here to speak on this topic? Oh, great. Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye. Great, thank you. All right, we'll go to item number 3 on the agenda. We've got item number 3, we've got BZA-25-15, an application by Robert Guyton for 4 separate variance requests. 1 variance to allow 9 floors over 2 floors of the structure parking for a hotel at a maximum height of 116 feet. Item number 2, to provide a permeable parking area in lieu of 10% green space. Item number 3 is increase the number of compact parking spaces from 14 to 20. And item number 4 is a variance of the perimeter landscape buffer on the interior boundary to include wall stops along the boundary at 1424 South Ocean Boulevard, zone resort residential in the R4 district. Mr. Guyton? And if you could,
Guyton. This is the proposed Residence Inn site. I think most of y'all are familiar with that. I've got 2 bigger sheets that Ben was kind enough to print. I look at that board and you guys are catching up with me and everybody's got glasses on. This bigger sheet might be a little easier to read than the others. That is the site plan. So similar to what you all have seen with some other hotel redevelopments on the ocean front, you've got constraints anyway because of the ocean itself and the setbacks there. But then when you try to take into account, there's a couple of things. One, circulation patterns, because where we're going now is not with exterior parking. Most projects would prefer to have the parking on the interior, both for aesthetics and for safety, so you can avoid those being on the roadside. They're also proposing to raise the plate height between floors to 10 feet. If you'll look at some of the older projects, it was typically 8 feet. And then you've got the circulation space between the structured parking, the lobby, and the meeting space that goes up to the guest rooms themselves. So that's the elevation question there on that one larger map on the right side.
Mr. Guyton, could you say that part about the 10 feet, the ceiling, the parking lot ceilings again?
Yeah, so the parking lot ceilings are much higher than that, but even the guest room plates on this proposed hotel are 10 feet as opposed to 8 feet. So we're not gaining any additional rooms, we're gaining space between the floor and ceiling in the room levels and both in the parking level and the lobby level. So it's not an increase in density. And then again, on the others, the permeable parking, that's proposed in lieu of green space because we're limited on a redevelopment site. The idea is that most of the green space would be on the road frontage, so we present a better aesthetic to the public. The interior spaces, by making some of that parking permeable, you accomplish the same thing as green space, which wouldn't be visible to the public anyway. So we're proposing that be on the interior. The third request is to increase the number of compact parking spaces from 14 to 20. I think you'll see a note on there that this project's proposed as all valet. One of the reasons for that, and y'all are familiar with this, is the load-in, load-out process on Ocean Boulevard's a problem. If you allow people to do that on their own, then you end up with, prohibition on moving traffic on Ocean Boulevard. So their proposal is to get people out of their vehicles as quickly as possible with their bags, move the vehicles on to the structured parking. And then the fourth request is that perimeter, if you look at that on the right-hand side of the site plan, that's where we're proposing the variance to allow wheel stops there at that boundary on the right side.
On the, would that be the south side or north side? Is it the public, where the public walkway is?
It's on the right side.
Right side, which would be the, okay, let's,
Yeah.
yep, okay. Any questions for Mr. Gooden?
Your permeable parking, is it across the street? Is that where you're?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Mhm.
Any questions for the applicant? Nope. Give us a minute, we're going to hear from the city.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Application by Robert Guyton for 4 separate variances for a proposed hotel and surface parking lot. Number 1, a variance to allow 9 floors over 2 floors of structured parking for a hotel at a maximum height of 116 feet. 2, to provide permeable parking areas at the surface lot in lieu of 10% green space. 3, increase the number of compact parking spaces at the surface lot from 14 to 20. And 4, a variance of the perimeter landscape buffer on the interior boundary of the surface lot to include wheel stops along that boundary at 1424 South Ocean Boulevard, zoned residential R4 district. The first variance request pertains to maximum building height. Section 2322 allows for a 90-foot maximum building height, but there's an allowance to exceed the 90-foot maximum. The ordinance states that hotels may exceed the 90-foot height limitation by 1 floor of units for each full level of above-grade parking. Deck construction below the principal building not to exceed 4 additional floors. The proposed building has 2 floors of above-grade parking deck. The ordinance then allows 2 additional floors of units above the 90-foot height maximum. The applicant shows approximately 2.5 floors of units above the 90-foot height maximum. The second variance, do you want to go over that one first before we go on so we don't get...
Go ahead. I was going to ask you, are we handling each one of these variances
So individually?
individually?
I think
or
you
we
have
doing
to.
a-
They're 4 separate
variance for all
requests.
4, or-
Yeah, that makes sense.
Do you even need a variance, though?
Yes, so with the height limitation, they're capped at 90, but for each raised level of parking, they can exceed that 90 with another floor of units, not to exceed 4 additional floors. And they're going 2 floors up. And like he said, like the applicant said, they have higher ceilings in each floor of units, so it's pushing it above 2.5. Whereas it's not a hard cap for height, those 2 floors over the 90 could have 20-foot ceilings, and it would be an even higher building. This is just a variance to do 2.5 instead of 2.
So this, because I was curious on how this was all going to play in with the comprehensive plan, but that would have applied to 90-foot, the R4 zoning anyway? Mm-hmm. Okay. So that's a little easier, because a lot of this is I think we'll talk about the overlay districts on some of this future stuff, but anybody got any questions on that? That sounds like a a pretty easy one. You know, so if you're not asking, you're meeting all the requirements, we just got to get a variance on it.
Variance for the half floor.
Half of
the
it.
90.
Got it. Okay, any other questions? If not, do we want to get a motion for item number 1? Oh, hold on, before we do that, I was just going to ask if anybody wants to speak on this, please come on up. And we've got, and this is kind of new to us because it's a little, you got the 4 different deals. We're going to speak to the individual ones. So you may, if this one you really have comment on, come on up. If not, if you want to make the comments, because we're going to do 4 different variance requests on this.
You want me to just comment on this one?
Yeah, if it's this one, this one's easier, the other ones, this one is permissible. It's pretty much, I'm just giving you my little thoughts on this. The rest of it, we've got some conversations on.
We're going to do each one separately, so if you could just keep your comments to the height issue.
Yes. Thank you. And if you can, introduce yourself for the record.
My name's Thomas Bundy. I live at 1425 South Ocean Boulevard.
There you go, thank you.
The building's known as Sea Castle. Our building is immediately adjacent to the proposed development, and our overflow parking lot across the street is immediately adjacent to their proposed parking garage.
Okay.
We're opposed to raising the height on this building. It'll be to the detriment of our building. The way our building is designed, it's kind of like shaped like this, so everyone's balcony goes back and out. So raising the height, what they propose, is going to cause a lot of loss of sunlight for the tenants of our building. I'm the president of the HOA. I've been authorized by our board to represent the 56 unit owners there. Over
Now,
4
are you all the building to the north or the south?
We're immediately to the north,
North, okay, great.
and our overflow parking lot's immediately to the north also. Over 4 years ago, Mr. Caldwell of the zoning department provided us a copy of this. It has all kinds of drawings in it and specifications. It shows that clearly at that time, the developer was well aware of the height requirements, the setback requirements, all the things they needed to do. So now 4 years later, they're coming in at the last minute, trying to make changes to this to the detriment of their neighbors. So we oppose this variance. I'll be saying here, we're going to oppose each of the variances in turn for different
And that's
reasons.
good. And I'm going to give you, Mr. Caldwell, if you can elaborate on because we're going to have to touch base on all these, but this one here is, it's allowed.
Well,
It's a 90-foot, and then you have the building for the
they're asking
park.
for an additional 6 feet, an additional half floor over what is allowed. That's why they need the variance.
But it's permissible.
With the variance, it's
Correct.
permissible.
Yeah,
So we're opposing the request for that variance.
okay.
How tall is Sea Castle?
How tall is Sea Castle? We have 8 floors over a 2-story parking deck. So 10 floors. I couldn't tell you the exact footage height. But this will, as originally proposed, it was still going to impede our light on that side of the building, on the south side of the building. Now, if they're going to add 2.5 floors, it's going to make the situation worse. To the detriment of half of the 56 unit owners. Other questions?
Any questions?
Thanks for your time on this one.
Yes, sir, thank you. Any questions for the city or the applicant?
Moment. I have a question for the HOA president, actually.
Come on back up, if you will, thank you.
So they already have the ability to build at 90 feet, right?
Yes.
And so they're basically requesting a variance for 6 feet, right?
Yes.
So you're saying 6 feet is going to be a detriment to
Well, as I
overall
understand it
well-being?
from listening to the explanation, they're allowed to add a floor for every parking
For
deck
every raised level
floor.
of parking.
So actually, they're actually raising the originally proposed building by 2.5 floors. Now, we can't do anything, I guess, about the 2 floors because of the way the law regulation is written. So I guess we can't do anything about the 2 floors, but we're certainly opposed to the additional 6 feet on top of the 2 floors that we can't do anything about. Anything else while I'm here?
Any other questions?
Yeah, I mean, if they're, I don't know, I just struggle with that a little bit. Because if they're able to, I mean, it's a half a floor, they're not, I mean, it'd be different if they were asking for 3 or 4 additional floors above. And I understand, but they're allowed to go too, so you're talking about a 6-foot
Yes.
issue, yeah.
Well, I guess the issue is, this is far different from the original proposal, which I'm sure you've probably seen, you've had access to.
We have not.
This was provided to us by Mr. Caldwell.
We haven't seen
It was
that.
the original drawing, well, I can leave it with you. It was the original drawing and proposal dated March 11, 2021. So I can leave this with you.
Only variances and special exceptions would come before this body.
Pardon?
Only variances and special exceptions would come before
Okay.
this body.
We wouldn't see that.
Yeah, we wouldn't see
The
that.
plans, we wouldn't see the plans.
Okay, so I guess it doesn't matter that they're changing the whole concept of the,
Yeah, because it could be even another, the plans and change and shift.
gotcha. So I guess to answer you, Mr. Bell, it's only 6 feet to you, but 6 feet is a lot to the people, the neighbors that are going to be impacted.
No, I understand.
Thank you.
Great. Yes, sir, thank you. Any questions for the city? And questions for the applicant?
I got one question, Ben. So we don't have to find a hardship to grant this variance?
You do.
What's the hardship?
Mr. Guyton, what's the hardship on this?
Yeah, the hardship on there, as we said before, is as you move from what had been condominium developments to brand standards for hotels, this being a residence inn, the requirement is you have to have those floor variances in there. All it does is enhance the quality of the product that's being delivered. As Mr. Bell said, it's 6 feet. If you all decided to deny the 6-foot variance, the hotel would still be built. You would just lower the quality of that, which has not been what North Myrtle Beach has been known for. So that would be the applicant's position, that they have the right to build the 2 floors. The 6 feet is a variance, and it's a hardship based on that transportation. You've all been in parking decks adjacent to hotels. There's several you can think of where to compress those levels, it's difficult to move traffic in and out of it. So what we're trying to do is make that flow easier and better for the vehicular traffic.
I agree with you, Mr. Guyton, on that. I think it would definitely make the building look better, but as a board, we've got to have something in the letter of the law for us to come up with, other than it's going to be a better looking building, and I agree with you 100%. I think it will be.
Yeah.
You guys,
Hardship has to be related to the property, can't be related to the development itself.
Yeah.
So it has to be related to lot size, irregularity, topography,
You know,
things like that.
you know, you mentioned that, and that's where I think a lot of the other ones are going to come in, is when we start talking about those overlay districts and how they impact this area as well. And we're saying, you know, we saw the top 10-year comprehensive plan saying that we want this development, we want the density, and we want, so we can make, 17th Avenue a sustainable destination, but
Yeah, there's a big difference between 8 feet and 10 feet in this product. If you walk,
Ceiling height and all that
yeah,
stuff.
I mean, that,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah, I mean, I agree, it's gonna make the property a whole lot better, or the building a whole lot better.
Mr. Caldwell, we're talking about the, pretty much the hardship on this, but how would we factor in, I don't really think this was even going to need the factor in part, but the overlay district and how, because this is,
This isn't currently in the overlay district, to my knowledge. I think it's a little bit farther south than where this property is, where it ends.
yeah. So I was curious, because they adopted the one to the north, but were they doing one on the south end or no? Because that was
I don't think this area is encompassed with that Crescent Beach overlay zone oceanfront. I don't believe this is in that district.
Okay. This is going to take and put in a nice addition for North Myrtle Beach, and we're talking about 6 feet, so. Any thoughts, questions?
it's oceanfront. Haven't we taken,
Taking that into consideration?
we've taken that in consideration before?
We could on that?
What would you say that the hardship would be with that?
What was this? Yeah, it's a good point.
How much different is this plan from the original plan?
So the people I'm working for didn't own it on the original plan. This is Contender Development out of Greenville.
Okay.
So this is one of their new projects, which is why it's now a residence inn. So whatever was proposed before was not part of what I've been tasked with.
You remember what that was?
I believe it was a hotel as well. I don't recall which one. Like the gentleman said, I believe it was 2021. I don't recall. It was a residence inn?
Okay.
Thank you. Here's the part about it is, we need, that property's gonna be developed, and we're talking about 6 feet, and that's what that's what I struggle with. And I didn't realize that I thought it was in the city's plan, to be quite frank, on the, looking for the oceanfront development, but.
Well, we might need some guidance from Mr. Norrie, is he not?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is,
He's unable to attend tonight.
yes.
If you'd like to
We could
continue
table-
that
we could table
particular
it till-
variance, since we have 4 separate variances,
Let's
I'm fine if
table
you
that.
want to continue that
Let's-
one
Yeah.
variance would be fine.
Postpone this one?
Yeah, let's postpone that, well, great.
Sure.
Can we, yes. Yeah, we'll just, yep. We'll take, item number 3, BZA 25-15, item number 1, a variance to allow 9 floors over 2 floors of structure parking for the hotel at a maximum height of 116. If we can get a motion to, is it a postpone
Continue.
or continue?
It'd be continuance.
Continue.
Continue, so we'll make a motion to continue this to the next meeting?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion that we have a continuance for variance BZA 25-15 to the next meeting, till we can get some insight from legal counsel from the city.
Good deal.
I'll second.
We got a second, we got a motion by Mr. Bell and a second from Mr. Reeves. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Okay, great. Let's go to the next item on the agenda, item number 2. Provide permeable parking area in lieu of a 10% green space. Mr. Gutton?
Yeah, again, this is one of those that's impacted by the variability of the site itself and then the fact that it is a redevelopment. So in lieu of the 10% green space, what we're proposing is to have permeable parking, which in effect would accomplish both things. You could park on it if you needed to, but it's not an impervious surface as typical parking would be.
Good deal. Good. Any questions for the applicant? Okay, great, thanks. Mr. Caldwell?
The second variance request is to provide permeable pavers in lieu of the ordinance required 10% green space. Section 2356 states that parking lots of more than 30 spaces shall provide 10% of the total parking area for landscaping within the parking area. Parking lots of 30 spaces or fewer shall provide 10% of the total parking area for landscaping in the parking area if possible. If not possible, the 10% shall be located somewhere on the site in addition to the required perimeter landscaping. The applicant is proposing a reduction to provide 7.17% interior green space.
Good. Thank you, Mr. Caldwell.
You're welcome.
Any questions for the city?
How many parking spots are there proposed now at that? It's obviously over 30.
More than 30. Yeah.
Okay.
More than 30.
Okay.
It's shown on that plan in front of Mr. Thomas.
All the green?
Is it up there at the top?
It's the one across the street, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Right there at the very top. No, above that. Yeah.
Green, all the green. They're gonna be all the green.
What do you
Looks
say?
like 34.
Say 30.
34?
Okay. Good deal. Any questions for the city? Any questions for the applicant? And if we get some public comment, come on up.
Got this here now, sir, if you want to use that, it's a little closer for you.
Do you need?
Yeah, introduce yourself again if you would, please.
Is it live?
We can hear you. Yeah.
Okay. My name is Thomas Bundy. I reside at 1425 South Ocean Boulevard, Unit 5G. We're opposed to this variance. Anyone familiar with the area, we already have a considerable flood problem. Whenever we have heavy rains, the 15th Street and Ocean Boulevard intersection becomes a road pond. In addition, it floods the first level of our parking garage and often our pool deck also. I'm not sure what a permeable paver is, but all I know is green space that allows the water to drain is going to be a lot better for the situation than anything that can increase the runoff in the area.
So I have a question to that, because your parking lot across the street has almost no green space on it. Correct? Don't you have a parking spot across the street from where
Yes.
you guys are?
Yes, so they're talking about across the street?
I'm talking about your parking across the street. How
Yes,
much-
it's an overflow lot, it's an asphalt paved lot. We have green space on the sides where our setback is, but there's no green space in the middle of the parking lot.
But I guess the other question too is from a development standpoint, Mr. Caldwell, the Public Works Department would require them to have water catch basins,
On-site storage.
on-site storage and
Yes,
everything,
sir.
correct? So I
I
mean,
would assume that it's going to be better after the new construction than it is currently.
yeah, from the development standpoint, the city would make them control that water and not allow it to flow off like it does now. Would actually probably be a better situation than what you currently have now, because they're gonna make them put underwater they're gonna have to come in and what's it called?
Stormwater drainage.
Spend a lot of money.
No, what's underwater tank? It's underneath the surface. It's where you have to come in and you put the baffles underneath and it catches it and holds the water, all that kind of stuff.
I've heard the term many times, but myself, I'm not an
Yeah, I
engineer.
can't think of it right now, but yeah,
In our,
Underground storage of water.
yeah.
what we see, it'll actually improve, if you've got a problem, it'll actually improve.
That, I didn't have any information on that.
Yeah.
Right now, the situation's a little better because it's an empty lot, so it has some drainage.
Right.
You know, there's going to be a lot more asphalt or concrete on there when they build, so.
But the
If
problem-
there, if there's is some kind of runoff storage system that, you know, that indeed would improve the situation. But again, that wasn't information that we had access to, you know, for this meeting.
So if they're required to control that water, and the permeable surface allows that water to flow, that's what that does. Permeable surface
additional
allows that
stormwater
water
control.
It is addition to the stormwater control.
Okay,
So
nice.
it acts like green space.
Well, the developer said pavers. I'm familiar with pavers. I never heard of a permeable paver. They're usually a brick-type material.
Instead of having concrete or asphalt, this is permanent. So
Okay.
Water
What
can
you're going to
seep
see is
in.
an improvement from what you had there, the old development, with
Okay.
the asphalt everywhere, and so there'll be an improvement on that.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, that makes a world of difference.
Yeah, yeah, that would be an upgrade to you guys, actually. It would help out with the issue you have over there.
Okay, thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, no worries.
Thank you. Is there anyone else here that wants a comment? Great. Thank you. Any questions for the city? Any questions for the applicant?
I do want to point out, just to belabor that point, that a variance for this item does not relieve any of the stormwater requirements for the project. You still have to meet the same requirements.
Yeah,
So-
absolutely.
Yeah, that good point made. Thank you.
Yeah. I want to make sure you understood that, sir, that there's no relief on the stormwater if that's approved, controlling that water for you. Yeah.
I guess my point is if they aren't going to have a system that helps control the water, our situation would be worse.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we should be good. It'll be Public Works, when they have this development, it all is an improvement over what the old standards were.
Yeah, if that's a requirement.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay,
Right.
gotcha. Perfect.
Hearing this gentleman right, under the standard requirements, they wouldn't have to do anything extra.
No, they will. They'll have to alleviate that issue that you guys have.
Yeah.
Yes, any water issues you have, they'll have to improve. It'll be an improvement that is required for the development. Yeah.
Do we have any questions for the applicant or the city? If not, is somebody prepared to make a motion for item number 2?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion that we approve variance BZA 25-15, item 2, to provide the permeable parking areas at the surface lot in lieu of the 10% green space with the presented plan that Mr. Guyton has given us today. There are extraordinary exceptional conditions pertaining to this particular piece of property, given the size of the property and also the size of the lot across the street. It's smaller in nature. These conditions do not generally apply to other properties in the vicinity. Because of these conditions, application of the ordinance of a particular piece of property would effectively prohibit or reasonably restrict the utilization of the property. The authorization of the variance would not be a substantial detriment to the adjacent properties or to the public good, and the character of the district would not be harmed by the granting of the variance.
Good deal. Thank you. Mr. Bell, do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Thomas. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Ayes have it. Okay, we're going to move to BZA 25-15, item number 3 on the agenda, which is the increased number of compact parking spaces from 14 to 20. Mr. Guyton?
Yeah, again, that is a constraint with the size of the property, so what we're proposing is to actually increase the number of parking spaces, but the dimensional standards for those 6 extras would be lower in order to increase the number. And part of that is because these will all be valet parked. You won't have to rely on the residents or the guests themselves to park. They'll be parked by the valet, so we view it as a good thing because you're adding more parking instead of having less parking.
How much parking is this project looking to have?
Ben can probably tell you what the total is. I don't know off the top of my head.
138, so that would allow up to 10% compact parking spaces, or 14.
Okay.
Yeah, Thank you, Mr. Guyton. Mr. Caldwell?
I was hoping you'd let me read the 3rd and 4th together and just act on the 3rd, because the 4th has some some wiggle room in it, if you will.
Yeah.
It's to provide perimeter landscaping on that right side of the surface lot. They're asking to go to 0 in the third variance, and they're proffering to add additional compact spaces to increase the area that they could provide perimeter green space along that same side. But we only advertised for the 20, to go up to 20. So if you guys decide, and the applicant's okay with it, you'd postpone that request as well, and we could re-advertise for the additional compact spaces in lieu of the green space. Okay, I'll read them now, and if you have questions, please ask. The third variance request is to increase the number of compact parking spaces from 14 to 20. Section 2341 states that the parking lot servicing a structure or building may have a maximum of 10% compact automobile parking spaces. Each space will have a dimension of 15 feet by 8 feet. The parking requirement for the project, 138, allows for up to 14 compact parking stalls. The variance request is to provide 6 additional compact parking stalls over the 10% allowance. The project will be fully valeted. When a party arrives at the hotel and unpacks, a valet will park the vehicle. When a party wants to leave the hotel in their vehicle, it will be retrieved by a valet. And then the fourth variance request is for a reduction of the required perimeter landscaping along one side of the parking area. The applicant is requesting to place 5 foot of that parking space depth within the 5-foot perimeter landscaping area. Section 2358 requires a perimeter landscape area with a minimum depth of 5 foot be provided along all property lines. Only driveways and sidewalks may encroach into required perimeter landscaping. The applicant has also proposed that if the board prefers, the total number of compact spaces could be raised to 30 to provide 4 foot of perimeter landscape. Standard parking spaces are 9 by 19, whereas compact spaces are 8 by 15.
Right, any questions for the city? Was that last part of that comment? What was so if we went from 14 to 20 versus, you said the 30? 14?
If you went up to 30 compact spaces instead of the 14, they would be able to provide 4 foot of perimeter landscaping on that northern side of the surface lot
Okay,
instead of 0.
instead of 0, got it.
If we went to 30 compact,
If you went to 30.
what's the standard size of a compact?
8 by 15,
And what's a regular?
9 by 19.
Okay.
What are they asking for again?
They're asking for 2 different things in these 2 variances. They're asking, one, to go up to 20 compact stalls, and then they're also asking for the elimination of the perimeter green space on the northern side of the surface lot. In lieu of completely removing it, they're also asking if they could go up to 30 compact spaces, an additional 10, so that they could leave 4 foot of perimeter landscaping along that northern side of the surface lot.
I mean, I'd almost prefer the 30 to the green space.
Yeah. So if you look at that line of, that row of parking on that boundary, what we're saying is if we reduce the depth of that row of 10 spaces to make them compact, then what we recapture would all be green space for the buffer to the property next door,
Okay. All right.
in lieu of just a green wall,
I got you.
essentially.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah, I got you. That's great. Yeah, and that's great.
Yeah, it makes better sense.
That gives you a
We
buffer
would-
between their lot too, actually.
It
Yeah.
does.
Yeah.
If you're leaning towards the 30 compacts, we would need to re-advertise and hear this next month.
Okay. Are you fine with that, Mr.
Yeah, we're
Green?
okay with that.
Okay.
Yep.
So would that be a postponement, or you're going to have to
Yeah, if they re-advertise that one, then that would eliminate the 4th request. So we would not have a 4th variance.
request it?
The third, I think it would eliminate, because that's where you're asking to go from 14 to 20. So we'd eliminate that.
Right.
And come back and advertise for the 30 compacts.
Right.
And the 1 foot reduction, I guess, of the
On the
perimeter
side
yard.
instead of eliminating it. Okay.
So do we want to come back and just withdraw item number 3 and then
I think you have to continue both of those together.
just continue both and then we could
I'll re-advertise for something that works with the 30 and the perimeter landscaping at 4 foot instead of 5. So it'd still be a variance of the perimeter, but only a 1 foot variance.
Yeah.
Okay.
You mind if we explain this to the
Yeah.
HOA group?
Are you following?
Our property is on the north side.
Next to your parking lot,
Are they
yes.
talking about eliminating the
No, so if you,
space where our overflow line is? or
if you
what?
come up here, we'll show you.
Come on up to the speaker, to the microphone, please. Thank you.
You can see on the drawings.
Thank you.
So if you look right here, they would actually add more parking spots, but it would make them smaller, so they have compact parking spots.
Okay,
And would
understand.
create more green, so they actually would add green space back in there, and create more green space in there between your lot and their lot.
Okay, so, but as proposed, when they say they want to eliminate the 5-foot wall setback.
Yeah,
would that be
But this would not,
Yeah, we won't do
but
that.
this wouldn't do that. This, well, what they're asking is they'd like to postpone and go to all compact parking on this side over here.
Okay.
And have a 4-foot landscape
So
buffer.
they'd be asking for a 1-foot
1
reduction
foot, just,
between.
yes, just a 1-foot
between
landscape.
their parking garage and their overflow line.
Yes.
It's not a parking garage, that's just a parking area.
Surface lot.
That's a
Surface
surface
lot.
lot, just like you guys have across the street.
Okay, so this is across the street?
Yes, sir, that's next to your
Correct.
lot, right next to your
I
lot.
thought that was going to be a parking garage.
No, sir, the
It
parking
was,
garage,
that's fine.
The parking garage is in our hotel.
Okay, well,
Yes.
that's.
That's what, and that's
They
where,
flipped.
Yeah, see, they don't
that was,
have,
they're two different, they're two different.
they don't have a parking garage across the street anymore. Their parking garage is actually in,
It's going to be under the building.
yeah, and so that's why they were asking for the 2 foot, because it's under the building, the 6 foot, because they're asking for it under the building. And then what they've done is they, like Mr. Guyton said, they've taken the parking garage and made those 10 feet. And then their lobby is a 14-foot lobby. And then edge level above that is 10 feet. And so they're trying to, like you said, they're trying to create a better product to go next to you, is what their goal is, to help add value. It's a lot.
As long as they can show a hardship, which
Yeah.
is required under the law, you know.
Yeah.
Yes, we have.
Yeah. Well, I mean, well, I think they also want to be good neighbors too, right? They don't want to be, just come in next door and just make everything absolutely ridiculous for you guys and make a hardship for you as well. But I mean, I think, yeah, but we just want to make sure that, yeah,
From the original plan.
yeah, I understand. Yeah, I get that. Yeah. So that's fine. But yeah, but
Thanks for explaining this to me, because
Thank you.
originally, across the street is where the parking garage is.
yeah, yes, sir.
I do kind of remember.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep, yep.
Okay.
Yeah,
Good,
that'll work.
thank you.
Yep.
Okay, so if we get a motion on, let's both items, we'll just continue.
So, Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we have continuance on variance BZA 25-15s for item 3 and 4 to postpone to the next meeting, so we can advertise for 30 compact cars and a 1-foot variance on landscape buffer.
Okay. Do we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Okay, great, thanks. And we got
Thank y'all.
yep.
I appreciate it.
Oh, and we got to do item number 4, good to go. Or did you do both of those?
Both of those.
Great.
Item 3 and 4, yep.
Good deal, great, thank you.
Do you want to keep those drawings, Ben, or you want me? Okay,
Keep 'em good.
perfect. Thank you. I appreciate you working through that. That was a good process, I think, not only for us, but for the neighbors, to see that we're really trying to do something that's positive overall. But I appreciate your input and your thoughts. That was a good exercise. Thank you.
Good deal, thank you. Okay, all right, we're going to move on to item number 4. We got BZA 25-16. We've got an application by Kylie Smith for a variance to exceed the allowable signage and area square footage for a proposed gas station convenience store at 10560 Highway 90, Zone Highway Commercial in the 8C District. Is somebody here to speak?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Collins Corbett with Anchor Sign on behalf of Parker's Kitchen.
Okay,
How are y'all doing?
doing good, thanks.
So we are looking for a variance for signage as against, or with the 150 square foot aggregate signage, or aggregate total for signage at the Park Village location at the corner of SC 90 and Robert Edge Parkway. As of right now, this site is 119,000 square feet lot, right on the corner of the heavily trafficked area coming through 90. It is a topographical issue as well, where the site is, some points are 6 feet from road going down when they're going to finish building, some are 10 feet lower, kind of where you look at the road grade going at the site, and then there's also assuming a proposed 3-story mobile unit storage center going behind them that's going to kind of dwarf that area where they're at. the standard Parker's Kitchen layout has the building itself set back from the roadway approximately 100 feet with the fuel canopies out front. So we're proposing to do their standard package for all stores that they do coming in, which is a sign on each elevation that's facing traveling thoroughfares, and then one on the corner, each outside corner of the fuel canopy closest to the road.
Any questions for the applicant? Give a second, we're going to hear from the city, and we'll be back to you.
Yes, sir.
Petitioner Kaylee Smith has submitted a variance request to increase the allowed square footage for signage at Robert Edge Parkway and SC 90 for a proposed convenience store in the highway commercial HC zoning district. The ordinance allows a combined total of 150 square foot between building mounted and freestanding signage combined. The applicant is asking to increase the total combined square footage to 456.33 square foot. Staff recommends that the board review the variance application, hear the evidence presented at the meeting, and review section 2336.
Thank you, Mr. Caldwell.
Welcome.
Any questions for the city?
For the sign that's on the back of the building, if it's, or on the side, if it's not visible from the highway, does it still, like, kind of like with Wells Fargo, does it count? Remember we had that Wells Fargo issue?
I don't remember if that is a right-of-way or a driveway behind this building.
It's a driveway. You
It's
got your new
a
easement
driveway.
access, right?
Y'all have the plot plan from our renderings?
I don't
Yeah, if
see
you
it.
have that, you can share them, that'd be great.
It's behind the building? Yeah, I'll show you.
If it's a driveway, it won't count as signage.
Okay. Thank you.
You can see it on sign D on the backside, the drive coming in.
You got that, and also sign C. So there's two signs technically, Mr. Caldwell, that would line up with that on the building itself. Sign A would be facing Highway 90, and sign B would be facing Robert Edge Parkway. And then, of course, you got your main sign on the corner, and then your two canopy signs.
Is there any other, is it just those two on the?
I got clear photos of the elevations as well.
Yeah.
Which signage is not going to count? Sign A?
Okay.
You can see it, where we're mounting it is basically over the glazing.
So you're saying
So the only way to truly do that is to stack it. So it's
Sure.
giving us that with their logo.
sign C is the one that's not going to comply, because sign D is on the
That's
other
great.
side.
Yeah, I
If we
like
box it for
Like
code.
that Wells, like you were saying, that Wells Fargo issue we
It's
had.
30 square feet, but doing the box and everything.
Okay.
It's a ton of dead space, especially with their logo.
Okay.
Right elevation.
Mr. Caldwell, do you want to see that, just so you see
Is
if
that
you're
the
in
rear
agreement?
elevation that you're talking about?
Yeah, the rear elevation and the,
Here's the right, I got the rear right here.
well, I'm just talking about the rear elevation. I can't.
What is the rear elevation?
Okay, this is,
So that's the one over the glass is actually the front.
So you technically, this would be away from the road, and that's just that's just an access road behind.
Right.
So you got sign C and sign D, so do they technically,
I think from this road.
from 90.
Okay. 90 is right here. Yep. Let's see. Okay. But this one, this is just a driveway.
it's just an access road behind it?
So the building itself is set back almost 100 feet.
That's the access road.
On this drawing, it's labeled right away, this back drive. I don't remember what it is.
What was that for now?
The road that you'll put it behind, is that a right of way or?
I think it is because there's other uses that take the frontage off. And remember, it's coming in off, there's gonna be an exit off of Round Edge, goes all the way through.
So what do you think
I
about
believe
that?
you have to count that because it is labeled right. Okay. All right, but that's, it's not like highway frontage. It's
Right.
still right of way, but it's not anywhere near highway.
Right.
Any questions for the applicant? Mr. Caldwell?
So what did we figure out?
What I said.
What wasn't,
He said that
Included or-
it still counts because it is labeled right away.
okay,
It is labeled.
so all of them.
All of them count, yeah.
All right, Mr. Caldwell?
Yeah.
Is there anything else that we want to?
I don't have anything else, sir.
Okay, what's your, Mr. Caldwell, we're talking about the different, we got four sides to that. You got a highway on, you've got Main Street connector coming over, and then you got 90 coming. You got a three-acre track. Are we all four sides? We're counting all four sides?
We are counting all four sides, but I would remind you, as I sometimes do, that in highway commercial, your lot size is a 10,000 square foot minimum. With the 10,000 square foot lot, you can have 150 square foot of signage. They've got over 3 acres. So,
Yeah, it works almost 10 times the size of your 10,000 square foot lot at 119,000.
Yeah, no, I think it looks great. I mean, it's
certainly a unique shape if you're considering a 10,000 square foot lot is what the minimum is, and they've got over 3 acres.
Right. You do?
I don't, yeah.
Is anyone prepared to, if we got any more questions, or prepared to make a motion before we hear from is there anybody in the public that would want to speak on this matter?
Ready for a motion? Yeah. I move to grant board variance BZA 25-16 because the applicant has demonstrated unnecessary hardship. There are extraordinary and exceptional conditions pertaining to this particular piece of property. Its size far exceeds the requirement to build the signs. These conditions not generally apply to other properties in the vicinity. Because of these conditions, application of the ordinance to the particular piece of property would effectively prohibit or unreasonably restrict the utilization of the property. The authorization of the variance would not be of substantial detriment to adjacent properties to the public good, and the character of the district would not be harmed by the granting of the variance.
Thank you, Mr. Thomas. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Bell. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All right. That passes.
Thank y'all.
Great, thank you.
I think I'm next again.
Don't go far. It's okay. We've got item number 5, BZA 25-17. We have an application by Kaylee Smith for a variance to exceed the allowable sign area square footage for proposed gas station convenience store at 4530 South Highway 17, zoned highway commercial in the HC district. And if you'll introduce yourself, and we'll go through this as well.
Sir, Collins Corbett with Anchor Sign on behalf of Parker's Kitchen. Coming into the Barefoot Landing area with a new proposed, we prefer to call it a food establishment that sells the convenience of fuel. If y'all haven't tried their fried chicken yet, it's awesome. I can't wait for you to do it. Okra as well. This lot as well is zoned highway commercial as the previous one, as opposed to the 119,000 square feet. We actually are 92,000 square feet here, right at the corner of 17 and Barefoot Resort Bridge, going in the background. This site is, we're proposing 3 wall signs, the front, left, and rear. Our front, left, and right elevation of the building, as well as 2 canopy signs on the fuel canopy facing 17. It would be, if you were going 17 north, it'd be visible coming that way, where you could make the turn in where the island is, where the median would be, as well as a freestanding sign out front.
Thank you. Do you have any?
I do, yes, sir.
Share that while we're listening to the city. That'd be great.
Petitioner Kaylee Smith has submitted a variance request to increase the allowed square footage for signage at 4530 Highway 17 South for proposed convenience store in the highway commercial HC district. The ordinance allows a combined total of 150 square foot between building mounted and freestanding signage combined. The applicant is asking to increase the total combined square footage to 393.07 square foot. Staff recommends that the board review the variance application, hear the evidence presented at the meeting, and review section 2336.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Caldwell.
You're welcome.
What is the size of this lot?
This is larger than 10,000 square foot as well.
That's 92,000 square feet. So I think it's, my math is right, about 2.5 acres.
Yeah, 2.52, I think. I looked it up.
Trying to,
Yeah.
it's like doing kilograms and pounds in my head. Takes me back to paramedic school.
Good deal. Any questions for the city? And this is another unique one, right, where you've got a large size, you've got highway visibility on 3 sides. So, any questions for the applicant? Any discussions? If not, is anyone prepared to make a motion?
I'll make a motion. I move that the board grant variance BZA 2517 because the applicant has demonstrated an unnecessary hardship. There are extraordinary and exceptional conditions pertaining to this particular piece of property. As we've discussed, the unique large size and shape of the lot. These conditions do not generally apply to other properties in the vicinity. Because of these conditions, the application of the ordinance to the particular piece of property would effectively prohibit or unreasonably restrict the utilization of the property. The authorization of the variance would not be of substantial detriment to the adjacent properties or to the public good, and the character of the district would not be harmed by the granting of the variance.
Thank you, Mr. Reeves. Do we have a second?
Second.
Got a second from Mr. Bell. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Ayes have it.
Thank you all so much.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
You too. Thank you. Okay, we'll go to next item on the agenda. We've got item number 6, BZA 25-19, an application by Aviz Shama for a request for a special exception for serving or permitting on-premise consumption of alcoholic beverages, beer and/or wine at 614 Sea Mountain Highway, zoned highway commercial in the 8C district. Hello. Hey, good. How you doing?
Aviv Sharma from the Black Pearl Mini Golf, 614 Sea Mountain Highway. We're here asking for a special exception to serve beer and wine on the property. We bought the mini golf in 2019. We've tried every year to improve the property. We put a lot of money in the beginning just in like the boat and the sign and the inside of the 2 buildings. There's a arcade, ice cream shop, the mini golf itself, and we've just had a lot of people that kind of randomly ask if we serve beer and wine, and we thought we would give it a shot. And the idea is to do it very tactfully. We are open from 10 a.m., 9 a.m. in the summer till 11 p.m. in the summer. We stop letting people start playing mini golf at 10:30 p.m. so that the people are done playing by 11 p.m. We close the ice cream shop also at like 10:45. The property is 2 acres of mini golf on Sea Mountain Highway. It's about 400 feet of frontage, something like that. It's completely fenced in, the entire mini golf is. We have 54 parking spots. We are, the perimeter of the property is a bunch of like 3-floor town, I don't know what to call them, houses that are mainly short-term rentals. There's, in the summer, it's like every week that's changing over. There are, I believe, 2 people that live in those houses, like full-time. Out of the, I don't know how many there are. I think there's 20 or 22, something like that, around the perimeter of the property. And just beer and wine, no glass, only, the goal is aluminum, those aluminum bottles. That's kind of our vision, I guess.
Okay. Yeah, perfect. Thank you. Any questions for the applicant? Nope. Good deal. We're here from the city and we'll be back with it to you. Thank you.
Yep.
Petitioner Aviz Shama has submitted a request for special exception for serving or permitting on-site consumption of alcoholic beverages, beer and wine at 614 Sea Mountain Highway, the Black Pearl Mini Golf Course, Zone Highway Commercial HC District. Owing to the potential negative impacts on the community, certain activities shall not be conducted prior to be granted a special exception by the board. The board is tasked with assessing compliance with the following criteria. The special exception not be located closer than 200 feet, measured from the property line, from an R1, R2, R2A, or R3 district line or residential neighborhood, except in unusual circumstances where mitigating conditions can be imposed to minimize adverse effects to residential uses. The property directly behind the mini golf course, between the golf course and the marsh, is zoned medium-density residential R2. That the special exception complies with the applicable development standards, including off-street parking and dimensional requirements, it does. And that special exception will not be in substantial harmony to the area in which it is to be located. That the special exception will not be injurious to adjoining property. And that the special exception will contribute to the economic vitality and promote the general welfare of the community. That the special exception will not discourage or negate the use of surrounding properties permitted by right. It does not. In granting the special exception, the Board of Zoning Appeals may impose such reasonable and additional stipulations, conditions, or safeguards as, in its judgment, will enhance the citing of the proposed special exception. Staff recommends that the Board review the special exception application and hear the evidence presented at the meeting.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Caldwell.
You're welcome.
Any questions for the city?
Just the 200-foot
Yeah.
R2, I mean, it's just nothing you can do about that, right? I mean, it's just, it is what it is.
It's, the uses are both already there.
Yeah.
Like the applicant said, that is a highly weekly rental type use. That strip of houses fronting the marsh. Not typically like an R2 that you would see in the middle of town somewhere.
Okay.
There's a fence all the way around the property, and he says they stop letting people on the course at 10:30.
10:30.
So not like a restaurant or bar that might be open till later or into the morning hours, it's going to be closed by 11.
Sure. Okay.
Good. Any
There's
questions?
restaurants and bars all on that road, just right behind my neighborhood, so.
Any other questions for the applicant, the city? Anybody prepared to make a motion for the special exception?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion that we approve special exception BZA 25-19 because applicant has met all the criterias other than the 200-foot, but that's not going to be of any detriment to the community itself.
Great, thank you, Mr. Bell. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second from Mr. Thomas. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. Great. Thank you.
gentlemen. Have a good night.
You too. Okay, we'll go to the next, item number 7 on the agenda. BZA 25-20, we got an application by Michael Kurtz for reduction of the required front setback at 510 12th Avenue South, zone single-family, low-density residential in the R1 district. Hello. Yeah.
Mike Kurtz, nice to meet you. Thanks for having me.
And you live at the,
Excuse me?
and where do you live, sir?
I live at 710 11th Avenue. I just purchased this lot at 510 12th Avenue South, North Myrtle Beach.
Okay, great.
So I live a street over.
Good.
Family's owned that house since 1990. I bought this lot with the intention to build my forever home here in North Myrtle Beach. And in my investigation, trying to get everything together, I want a single family, one-story plan, nothing big, 2,300 square feet. The lot is a kind of a pie shape, as you can see there. It goes back drastically and it pinches in. And it restricts what I can do. I don't want to build up. I want to do this for the later in life stages. I want one floor. My neighbors want one floor. And I do have a letter in support from my neighbor. I don't know if you would like that or, okay. And yeah, that's what I'm trying to do. I originally, the 25-foot variance in the front, so that's where the most usable, as you can see, land area is, and it's only 38 feet wide in the back. And then you have the 10-foot on each side variance, so it pinches in. We can make it work a couple different ways. If I had a 10-foot front variance, that would work, or some combination of a 15-foot and then the 5 on each side variance, that would work as well. I didn't know if you had any thoughts on that or questions about that.
Now, which,
That next page, the next page you'll see it.
oh, okay, I got you.
You already kind of have a house
Thank you.
right there on the corner that's, did this house,
So this is the last lot of, it's like an island there. It's the last lot, open lot. Everything else is built on. I'm the last one.
oh, yeah.
And my next door neighbor, which I have the letter from, on 516, if you can see that. That's who provided me the letter. They used the 25-foot setback, I guess, on hillside, but their front facing is on 12th, like mine would be front facing on 12th. And if a 10-foot setback was given to me, awarded, that would put me in line, our garages would be in alignment. It would be more aesthetically pleasing to the homes around us, we'd be in line, be one story, no sight line, for anybody, and everybody's in favor of that.
Thank you, Mr. Rich. We'll hear from the city, and we shall be back. And you can pass that around. Thank you.
Petitioner Michael Kurtz has submitted an application for a variance to reduce the required front yard setback at 510 12th Avenue South, Zone R1, low-density residential R1 district. The required front setback for the district is 25 foot. Mr. Kurtz is asking the board for a 15-foot variance to reduce the minimum front yard setback to 10. Staff recommends that the board review the variance application and hear the evidence presented at the meeting. Welcome.
So Mr. Caldwell, I just want to confirm, so the house that's on hillside?
Yes.
That already has a 10-foot setback on the?
It does, because that's a side setback for setback purposes.
Right.
The orientation of the house is just towards the side.
Sure, yeah, I understand. Yeah, they were able to use hillside as their front yard
Yep.
to 10, okay. So if he does get a 10-foot setback, gets a 15-foot variance, it really puts it in uniformity with that?
It would put him in uniformity with the house that's already built on hillside. Yes.
Okay. And did the house below, did they have to get a variance for their?
They did not. They did 25-foot front off of 12th. I think that's 12th right there that you front on?
Yes,
Yeah.
but they face 11.
They face 11, they take the front setback off of 12th, and they have the pool in the rear yard.
Okay.
Yeah, this lot is a challenge on the shape of it and trying to
Yeah.
figure out how to put a house on there. It'd be nice if the orientation was like the neighbors, right?
Yeah.
So,
No, I don't have an issue with it.
Yeah, the island is, odd shaped, so.
So the only thing you're really asking for is that 15-foot variance on the front, keeping everything else the same?
Yep.
All around, okay.
any questions for anybody prepared to make a motion?
I'll make a motion, I don't mind. Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we approve variance BZA 25-20 because the applicant has demonstrated the necessary hardship, specifically there are extraordinary exceptional conditions pertaining to this particular piece of property. Given the irregular shape of the lot, these conditions, they do sort of apply, but not to all the lots that are on them. Because of these conditions, application of the ordinance to this particular piece of property would effectively prohibit or reasonably restrict utilization of the property. The authorization of the variance would not be a substantial detriment to adjacent properties or to the public good, and the character of the district would not be harmed by the granting of the variance.
Great. Thank you, Ms. Bell. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Thomas. Any discussions? There's nobody here in the audience right now, so nobody's here to speak on behalf of this. Any other questions? Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Aye. Thank you. Appreciate it. And can we get a motion to close the meeting?
So moved.
Got a motion by Mr. Thomas, second by Mr. Reeves. All in favor? Aye. Great, thank you.